Writing effective melodies can be one of the most difficult hurdles a composer faces. Sometimes we get lucky and wake up in the morning and have this amazing melody just buzzing through our head. But these occasions are rare. More often we have to craft our melodies using a number of techniques, and if done correctly, these melodies can be just as effective as those that miraculously appear. So to begin, I am going to construct a melody over this simple chord progression. As tempting as it may be, do not touch the chords at this stage. Leave them as they are. We will deal with the accompaniment at the end of the process. You may find it useful to write the names of the notes under the chords. These notes will become the foundation of your new melody, so it's good to have them on hand. Whenever you need to look at them, it's great to have them written under the chords. Now it's time to write some notes. Using only notes of the chord, compose a basic melody using only crotchets and minims. You do not need to include every note of the chord in your melody. It is a good idea to include some repeated notes and also some notes that are a third apart. I will explain this in more detail as we go through the process. So here is our basic melody. Okay, I admit, it isn't the most inspiring melody ever written, and it's not likely to make the top 10 anytime soon. But it is entirely functional. The melody harmonizes perfectly with the underlying chords, and there are no wrong notes. Well, let's try and spice things up a little by adding some notes that do not belong to the chords. Firstly, I'm going to add some auxiliary notes. Auxiliary notes occur between two concurrent notes of the same pitch. So I'm now looking for some repeated notes. In fact, we have repeated notes in bars 1, 2, 3, and 4. Auxiliary notes occur between the two repeated notes, and they are one step either above or below the repeated pitch. It's the composer's choice which way we go, either one step above or one step below. Okay, that just about does it for auxiliary notes. Now for some passing notes. Passing notes exist between notes a third apart. This is important. Passing notes only exist between notes that are separated by the interval of a third. Do not use passing notes between any other interval. We have a number of options for passing notes. Here's one between the C and the A. Can you see how the B flat between allows us to pass from one chord note to another? In bar 3, we can add two passing notes, one between the D and the B flat, and the other between the B flat and the G. Note that the original interval can cross the bar line. There is just one little addition I want to make. Look at bar 4. We have a lovely run of quavers which I would like to continue through to the final note. My problem is that the last two notes, the G and the A, are a second apart. I can't use an auxiliary note and I can't use a passing note. I do have another option, however. I can use another chord note, another note of the chord, and in this case a B flat, to continue the movement. So, here is the new improved melody with the chord progression. And if I add a simple accompaniment pattern to the left hand, well, we get this. And there you have it, a purely constructed melody that works perfectly with the underlying chord progression. I now want to show you some slightly more advanced techniques using this chord progression. The key is G minor, and the chords are a little more interesting than in the first example. If you understand the chord symbols, that's great. But if not, it's no big deal. It is really only the notes of the chords that we are interested in. So we go through the same process. We write the names of the notes under each chord, and we construct a simple melody using only chord notes. This time, however, I am writing not a long continuous melody, I'm creating some small melodic motifs and developing them over the first 3 bars. It is a slightly more sophisticated technique because it allows us to generate some thematic development. I am also adding some quavers this time. As we did in the previous example, I now add passing notes and auxiliary notes to the theme. Note that the use of quavers in the original theme has turned some passing notes into semiquavers. In the first example, we used other chord notes to continue a run of quavers. This time I am going to use other chord notes to create some interesting larger intervals that will add character to our melody. Looking at our melody, I'm loving the semiquavers in bars 1 to 3 and thinking that it would be great if the semiquavers could continue through to the end of the passage. This can be done by going back to our passing and auxiliary notes and replacing them with repeated notes. So here in bar 4, instead of using B flat, A as an auxiliary note, and then B flat again, I just have B flat, B flat, B flat. Can you see the options that are now available? That's it. I can now add 2 auxiliary notes and the note values become semiquavers. I can do something similar in bar 5. And bar 6. And again in bar 7. In bar 7, my auxiliary note is a little more fancy. It's a chromatic auxiliary note. And now with a simple accompanying figure in the left hand. It takes practice to master these techniques. The more melodies you create, the more skillful you will become. So to recap, number 1, use a chord progression as a basis and generate a simple, if not boring, melody using only notes of the chords. Number 2, add passing notes, auxiliary notes, and other chord notes. This will introduce non-chord notes to your melody and it will make your rhythm more interesting. And our third point, if you wish to generate more movement and interest, try repeating notes before adding the passing and auxiliary notes. This will open more opportunities for non-chord notes and greater movement. So start writing melodies and become familiar with these techniques.